Well, the idea that the pie is shrinking, it's not fair or equitable for firefighters' compensation, et cetera, to remain the same without affecting the other services within the city.
Well, let's make it clear that this has nothing to do with compensation. Nothing in this ballot measure has to do with compensation. Compensation is dealt in a separate arena, which is going on right now. Matter of fact, we met today on looking how we could possibly reduce the cost of medical to the city for all the groups. It's a total different issue. This issue really deals with public safety and responding and keeping the level of service that we provide with paramedic service. If you look at our community, it's a very diverse community as far as protection. We have 29 firefighters on duty that need to protect, close to 70,000 people in the evening and about 120,000 during the year. When you look at our total area of 50 square miles with 2 hospitals, highways, airports, heliports, we have a lot of responsibility and we need to get there quick. Our biggest enemy is the clock. When we get a call, we're against the clock. We need to get there in appropriate time to be able to provide the life-saving techniques that we're trained to do and put out fires. Any delay in that delays that response time and it moves on causing the individual to suffer long. If you just sat here and thought, dial 911 on your phone and hold your breath for 4 minutes and then wait. That's what we're up against. And our average response times in Palo Alto have been increasing over the national average. We're responding over 5+ minutes now to a call. The national average is 4 minutes to get to someone before brain damage or continuous deterioration of that individual. It's about public safety, and that's what it's about.
So, John, is this only about public safety?
No, it's about where we make our decisions. If we had a system in this country or in this city of direct democracy where we came to the city hall 3 times a year and raised our hands as citizens, a town hall system, I don't think we're having this conversation. We have a representational democracy in which we elect our council members to make decisions for us through good discussion and through and after participation in the community. This measure would essentially strip the council of its ability to look at the totality of the budget and wall off the fire budget and essentially say we can't change it because of the obstacles to the vote.
Okay, now, Tony.
So I disagree with that they can't change it. The public can change it.
Well, Tony, is it, let's talk about the other services. Mm-hmm. If the firefighters can say our services are so important to the well-being of the citizens, they should not be touched, can other services come up and say the same thing?
I think any services that feel that they're essential to the city have a right to speak out. This is not an issue that just happened. We've been dealing with the concerns of response time and reduction in our fire department for years. We sent a letter to the city manager last year, 2009, and met with them saying our command staff has been decreased. We don't have adequate command staff to oversee a fire or deal with response. And we've been talking, but we've been going nowhere. And all we've been getting is the city wants to do studies on how we can do more with less with the firefighters. Well, as Mr. Barton pointed out, we've had the same amount of firefighters for many years. We're not asking for more, but we surely cannot do with less, and we cannot do with less fire stations.
Well, if I could just follow up before getting back to John, he said it's an issue of decision making. Who makes the decision? So what's wrong with the city council being the body that makes the decisions?
And what's wrong with the citizens making a decision when it comes to their safety? They'll have an opportunity, the council will have an opportunity to discuss the issue. We're just saying when you discuss it and when you make up your mind after you have 2 public hearings, and you're suggesting to the community that you close a station or increase response times, then we think that the public should weigh in. Now, if they agree with the city council, it'll happen.
So what's wrong with the public making the decision?
There's nothing inherently wrong with the public making the decision. It's just not the system that we have. The real challenge is that it takes one piece of the pie and leaves it out there. How do you pass a budget in June and then have a vote in November on a big portion of that budget? It's a very unwieldy system. I think also it's going to lead to more people saying, I want my piece of the pie to stay the same. So the library folks will step forward and say, I want my piece of the pie to only go to the voters. And then we end up with what we have in California, which is essentially an impossible budget.
Okay, now Tony said this has nothing to do with compensation, and you keep talking about a piece of the pie.
Well, it doesn't have anything directly to do with compensation, but obviously at the end of the day, if we have X firefighters or X minus 2 or X plus 4 firefighters, of course it has to do with compensation. And over time, the only way to control the firefighters' budget, that the fire department's budget, if this passes, is to change either salaries, which is something that's very difficult to negotiate, and is something that we would want to be very careful about doing as a community, or changing the amount of staffing we have, which would then require this very difficult step of going to the voters to do.